Hey guys, this is Thomas from Camelot.
This is Brittany Slays from Unleash the Archers.
Hi, this is Mark from Dragon Force.
This is Zoe from Insatia.
Hey everybody, this is Michael Sweet of Striper, and you are listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
Hey Metal Maniacs, I'm excited to be joined by Camden Cruz from Floridian power metal evangelist Seven Kingdoms. Camden, thanks so much for joining us on the Great Metal Debate.
Hey, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
For folks who aren't familiar with Seven Kingdoms, can you give us a brief overview of the band?
I guess you would take us as a metal band from the start, and then we have our own version of, we have a female singer, and it's, I guess, the people who would be new to metal. We don't really do a lot of screaming. For those that listen to metal, it's the term power metal, I guess. That's the kind of music that we like. It's really fast, very melodic, very catchy. I always kind of think about it as almost like punk music, but a lot more melody and a lot more drumming and just a lot more with a lot it's just catchy too. No, I was saying it's just a lot of good catchy stuff that we rely on as influence. Really is what it is.
People who are familiar with European power metal may be very comfortable with your music, but there are some U.S. metal fans maybe who don't run across bands like Seven Kingdoms very often.
Yeah, no, basically, it's a bit new for the general United States for what we do to just take it. It's a lot, obviously everybody equates power metal with Europe. And I mean, honestly, that's cool, but we would like to make it so it's kind of just people say, oh, it's just they're a power metal band, you know what I mean? I mean, we're from America, I guess, and because of where we're located, and not a lot of up-and-coming bands are doing that, which I guess kind of makes us unique over here. But I guess I'll actually take it. I'll take that.
No doubt. I mean, to me, it's an untapped market. I honestly don't understand why European-style power metal isn't bigger here in the States. I wonder, do you have any inkling of why it isn't bigger here in the States?
Anything that's popular here was whoever made it popular, it made it cool. And I'm not so sure to grand mainstream, well, not even mainstream, just a much larger audience, that very many of the previous power metal bands made it cool for like super cool some kid, I mean, you got to make it, you got to have a lot more than just being a good power metal band to really break through and kind of give wind to something new, I guess, in today's market, which is why it was there. I mean, it died kind of like, and then it was really big in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, and then it kind of had a lull, and I think the lull is what is actually kind of helping us keep our head above the water because we're still doing it actively, you know what I mean? So just kind of riding the wave a little bit and seeing what happens.
Now, Seven Kingdoms is headquartered in Florida, and we've had an opportunity to speak with a number of different bands from Florida, black metal bands, Secret She Kept. Talked last year with Thomas Youngblood from Camelot. A lot of different, very strong acts from Florida. What's the music scene like down there?
The music scene's really strong here. I mean, a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but I mean, some people in the scene, you go on Facebook and stuff, and they'll be like, ooh, and I mean, they're just whining because they want to whine. But our scene, I think, is one of the best in the country, because Florida is kind of logistically out of the way. It's a little bit tougher sometimes to get major tours to come to the state. So when you do get them, I think it's a little bit more of a bigger deal here than it would be for Georgia or New York, you know what I mean, or Texas or something, you know what I mean? So the bands have seen that, and we also have great talent, obviously. I mean, the amount of bands we have.
And a lot of diversity, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, it's like I think if people really look at it on a true national basis, like, Florida has a ton of, like, bands, just bands doing it. It's like, it would, like, the overlay of Sweden and Norway, but translated to the United States would be Florida. You know what I mean? Like, bands per mile kind of thing.
Let's talk a little bit about your band in particular, Seven Kingdoms. If you would, tell me a little bit about the members of the band, and how long has the current lineup been together?
Man, I guess the core of it, well, not necessarily the core, but the first original members that are still with us is myself and Keith and Kevin Bird. Keith and Kevin are brothers, the guitar player and the drummer. And, we started this with our friend Brian, who still does some of the lyrics he did 3 lyrics on the new record. And our first bassist, Corey, he was a friend of ours at the time, but it was like right out of high school, I think, for me. But yeah, that was the original set. And then from there, we ended up getting Sabrina, who became my wife. And then we had Miles, and then he was eventually replaced with Aaron. And Aaron's just still the current bassist. And I mean, I don't foresee anyone going anywhere at this point. We found a pretty good mix at this point. We're basically a little family.
Yeah, quite the family atmosphere with brothers and spouses in the band.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron might as well be my brother too. I mean, it's just everybody's definitely like family level at this point. I mean, our lives are intertwined basically with everybody, so it's just the way it is now.
Let's talk about the album, Decennium. I saw on Facebook you were unboxings, just had gotten in those new CDs, which had to be very, very exciting. How long have you all been working on this material?
Oh man, the music we were working on. Well, the last tour we did was in 2014. In the middle of the year, we went to Europe with Manticora, and after that, we took about a year off just to kind of. I mean, we'd been touring nonstop basically since 2010 on kind of higher profile tours, plus B tours basically by ourselves. So I mean, just being on the road all that time, we just stayed home and worked and just kind of licked our wounds and saved up and wrote music. But between 2000, I say we started writing it right before 2014, just off and on, just like guitar riffs and stuff. And then we really started hitting it in 2015. We wrote basically most of it, I would say, in that year.
And there was an EP released during that time.
Well, we recorded Decennium and In the Walls, all of it at once in June and July-ish, I think. I don't know, I have to look at the album for the credentials, but we did it basically the middle of the year in 2016. We did everything, and then I made 2 releases out of it with a couple, special things for the In the Walls with the re-recorded Brothers in the Night tracks, and then the Decennium. But they feature 2 different masters of the stuff, so it gives it a nice little split. Everything sounds a little bit different.
I'm always curious when bands release EPs like that. What was the thought process? Was part of it to throw a little bit of a bone to the fans who might be asking for new material, or what made you think to do that?
Well, I mean, the idea behind, a lot of things were behind why we released it the way we did this time. It's a really long story. It's not really a super long story, but we basically were able to, we didn't owe anybody any contracts per se, so we were able to self-finance and self-release. But basically the reason why we did 2 releases was because we decided to do crowdfunding. And I wanted to release basically it's a hype CD for the record, basically like a glorified single, but it was, a EP length, and with a couple of exclusive tracks re-recorded from our first record, which didn't have quite proper recording on it because it was just a project at that point. So we basically used that to learn the crowdfunding, like just the way it works. And so that way we could, collect data from our fans in that setting and see how it would work to kind of test the waters for if we were to really do it like 100% for the album, how it would work. So, I mean, obviously the EP campaign crushed, and then we are currently crushing the new album campaign. So, I mean, it worked out pretty well. So, and I mean, honestly, I mean, just it's incredible what you can do by yourself. I mean, if you put your mind to it.
And going the EP route sounds like that checked off several boxes for you, allowed you to accomplish a number of different things.
Well, yeah, it's just we were able to, like, a lot of bands, you know, they just like, oh, if you release the album, it's like, boom, there it is. And it's like one pop, whereas like, it's like, hey guys, here, check this out, and there's something special on it. It's like, get behind this, and then it just kind of, you know, true fans get a taste of it, and then it's 4 songs, and like the biggest bad review we got was because the EP was too short. And that's the whole point, is that, you know, like, Decennium is about to come out, and that's going to, you know, finish satisfying everybody, basically. So, and, you know, we saved all of the special stuff for the campaign here. Like, we got the double vinyl and this and that, and everything has been backed by our wonderful fans. So it's just, you know, it's amazing what 275 people can do, you know, for a young band versus the traditional model, you know, which is recording and then hoping for a record deal that doesn't pay it in today's market, you know what I mean? That's hitting bands bigger than us, way bigger than us at this point.
It really takes an entrepreneurial spirit, doesn't it? You always have to be trying new things to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like, if you, I mean, as any record label would say, you know, this is a business, and like, you got to have a mind to find out what's actually good for you and how to, you know, like, I mean, I hate to say it, but eliminate as much of the middleman as you can, because when, you know, if this was the 80s, local bands would be selling 10,000 copies within like a year, you know what I mean? Like, and that doesn't happen. Like, you're lucky if, you know, whoever, you know, some major band hits like the Billboard chart with like 1,200 copies first week. Like, several zeros have dropped off of that in 20 years. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And, you know, yeah. So it's like when you go from dropping hundreds of thousands of copies and the contracts are still the same, the numbers don't work.
In addition to the promotion generated by the EP, you all have put out a number of videos on YouTube to promote the album, a lyric video for the song In the Walls, a video for Never Ending that shows some clips from inside the studio, and most recently a really cool lyric video for Stargazer. What was the thought process behind putting those out?
Actually, another money thing. We decided because, you know, it's more, this whole cycle is about what can we do. It's bang for the buck, really, for us. It's, you know, but we have a music video budget. It's like, do we cut one really good one, you know, do I put all our eggs in one basket with the video, or do we, like, spread it out so we have a bunch of stuff to promote? And I still have one more that we're still working on, that the same guy is doing, for Kingslayer. Yeah, no, it's just like, I decided to just get more for it, you know what I mean? I've got 20 minutes of video versus 5 for the same price.
To me, that really whets the appetite for this new album, Decennium. Talk a little bit about that, the themes in it. Obviously, you've continued with the Game of Thrones influence, but also some other thoughts in there. Just for fans who may be considering purchasing this, tell them a little bit more about the album.
You know, we wanted this album to be just full-blown, like, classic power metal in the modern day, but with the things that we think defines power metal in our mind, and the things that we really find enjoyable most with, you know, music in general. You know, it's fast, it's super catchy, there's a lot of sing-alongs, I mean, lots of guitar shreds, there's a bunch of catchy bass. Like, you know, it's just like, what there's, I mean, it's like, do you have a personal problem with not liking something about the aspect of the music, you know, if you don't like it, like, which is fine, but it's just like, it's very just, I mean, it's kind of, I I mean, I'm sorry, I'd say it's hard not to at least please someone or be like, oh yeah, it's good. You know what I mean? Even if someone that might not listen to it. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with that, trying to just make sure that, I mean, power metal stays at a certain position here and isn't forgotten. I mean, I hate to say it, it's like some of the people that define the genre don't put out albums, you know, that are quite like they used to be anymore, and it's just that we miss it. And I guess that's really the driving force behind this one.
Have you had an opportunity to perform any of these new songs off Decennium live yet?
Yeah, we did. We did a mini run. I mean, it wasn't even really a tour. It was just like a weekend and then a weekend. But we did like a little run for the EP, supporting just like around the EP. Yeah, we played In the Walls. We played Kingslayer. We played Faithless Hero, and we played both of the Brothers of the Night re-recordings at those shows. But like I said, we're actually in the middle of rebuilding our rehearsal unit right now. But we're going to start rehearsing probably in February for the tour in May with Evergrey, so we can start getting this album live ready.
Let's talk about that. What are the plans for promoting the album after its what is the release date?
It's basically the Kickstarter, the crowdfund for the album is actually up in 3 days. So in 3 days, basically, Kickstarter chases everybody down and swipes their cards, and it takes about 2 weeks for us to get all of the data, like the shirt sizes and stuff, and the shipping addresses from all of the backers. So around the end of the month, people will start getting the CD in the mail, and we're just using the end of January as the soft release date. But basically, right around that same time, I put them up for purchase on our Big Cartel merch site, and that'll be just anybody can start buying it that has the link at that point. I mean, anyone can back the campaign right now, but it'll be like an immediate shipping kind of thing.
Yeah. Likely by the time we have this up, folks can access that. What does the band have planned as far as promotion and live dates going forward into 2017?
We basically, right now, we're attempting licensing deals for the record so we can get a further reach into the world. Once you get to Europe, it's people just pay an amount of shipping that they shouldn't have to pay just because now it's an import. So we're trying to strike a deal with a label to do that for us, and we're just in the middle of just hashing all that out. But eventually that'll happen, and hopefully all of their promotion will kick in along with our own promotion for the tours. But in May, we'll be doing a whole North American tour with Evergrey.
And they're hot, man. What a great band to be teamed up with.
That's going to be a great mix. It's just like I became friends with the guys because I went on tour with them as the road manager the last time they were through here. So it's just, it was a good group of people, and it was great. They were easy to work with, and, I was involved on a fundamental level when they're touring over here. So what a better way to, put my whole thing on the line by throwing the band on it, right?
Absolutely. I think that's a great mix stylistically, you guys, and then that excellent value for folks who come out to see you all.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to do the whole, prog power kind of mix, especially the support bands that are on the bill, Ascendia and Need. They both offer something a little bit different than the other. And then, you kind of go far right with us and then far left with Evergrey. So it should be a nice bounce kind of within the genre.
So exciting. And any plans for going across the pond into Europe?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure those plans will develop over time, especially once we hash out some sort of deal. But, I mean, of course, we're going to return over there, but I don't really have a plan as of yet because I'm waiting for other things to kind of fall into place. But we're going to go back at some point. And the only thing, we got all our eggs in the basket for that Evergrey tour right now. And getting the album out. Really, I haven't even. We still have to plan a CD release party for this thing, and I have a feeling that the first Evergrey show in Orlando is going to end up turning into that because we're running out of time because that's coming up soon. So
I think that would be a great way to have a CD release show there with those guys. And Camden, wrapping up with you today, remind our listeners what are the best ways for fans to access music and merchandise, including this new album, Decennium, from Seven Kingdoms.
The best thing to do is to, of course, like us on Facebook. That's our main source of communication with our fans. Constantly actually check up on our Facebook page for updates, because a lot of things will be changing over the course of the year. Our main merch website, the official website for us, is sevenkingdoms.bigcartel.com. You can find anything. The leftover stock of In the Walls is available there. The leftover stock of Decennium will be there, all the first edition copies, along with all of our soft merchandise, T-shirts and accessories, picks, patches, poster flags, vinyl slip mats, a bunch of stuff. The back catalog right now is found at Nightmare Records or Amazon, whatever you want to do, iTunes. And then, in the future, we'll have some more information for where it'll be sold.
And catch you guys on this upcoming tour with Evergrey. I'm sure that you'll have the music and merchandise available at those shows.
Oh, yeah, we'll have a couple new tour shirts, too, probably for those as well.
Well, Camden, hey, I so appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. Your material is so strong. As a metal fan, I thank you for keeping the power metal faith alive here in America, and I'm so excited for the release of this album and excited for you guys on this upcoming tour.
Hey, thank you very much, man. Thank you for investing the time and checking this out.